Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we're going to get right into the Aries November love reading. It's Aries love all the way. Yeah, the next couple months are going to be pretty good. There's a lot of really good astrological aspects happening, especially with Jupiter and Uranus and the full moon in December. So we've got a great couple of months coming up for the end of 2019. So let's just see what November has hitting for Aries, all right? We're going to get right in to your Celtic Cross spread. And then I will probably pull some clarifying cards later on. But let's get right into it, Aries, and see. Now, of course, this is not going to resonate with everyone. Just take what resonates with you, what applies to you, and please disregard the rest, right? We have at the center the Hierophant, straight out commitment, spiritual commitment, and the Two of Swords. Oftentimes called the land of indecision, but we'll get right into the Two of Swords. We have Major Arcana 8, Strength, otherwise associated with Leo, Aries. And at the top, conscious, and at the unconscious position, we have King of Swords. All right. Coming into the month with a Two of Wands. Coming out of the month with a Tower moment. Wow. All right. We have Six of Swords is your attitude. Five of Wands is what meets you. Interesting. And 10 of Cups and the Magician is coming out at the top. All right. Let's do it this way. All right. And we'll put these two at the bottom. These are really your forces coming in and other people. Let me just get this straight a little bit. I hate it when my readings are a little bit askew. All right, guys. So, bottom of the deck, we have Seven of Cups. Now, Seven of Cups, of course, talks about delusional thinking, right? Pie in the sky, wishing for a fairy tale ending, right? A fairy tale scenario, oftentimes not being very realistic. But let's get right into your spread, Aries. This is a pretty heavy spread right away, I can see. We have straight out at the center, we have the Hierophant crossed by the Two of Swords. So some of you are indeed wanting to make a commitment. You're at a point in your life where you are wanting to make a deeper commitment to a more spiritual path or a path that is closer to who you are. I would almost say that for some of you, this might even be a midlife crisis. This could just be a moment in your life where you're deciding very much to double down on a spiritual path, a moral path, whatever your center is, because of course the Hierophant, interesting, the Hierophant is the highest representation of our spiritual beliefs here on earth, right? And oftentimes he talks about a commitment, right? Making a commitment, being focused and single-minded. 5 is, of course, the number for a power struggle, but with 5 in the Hierophant, we do not have a power struggle. We give over to our spiritual representative, right? So there is no power struggle. We are fully committed on the spiritual path, covered by the Two of Swords. So oftentimes this card is called the land of indecision, right? But the Two of Swords is more about finding balance. Finding balance when you can't make a decision over one way to go or the other way. You have two options that you can't make a decision. You need both of them in your life. They both seem to be equally valuable. And so she covers her eyes to see if she can go within and feel the difference. And even then, she can't distinguish which choice to make, which is a better choice for her. And so Two of Swords is very much about finding a balance, right? So for some of you, this month, interestingly enough, it could very well be that you're wanting to make a commitment in love, but you feel if you do make a commitment, you're going to have to make a choice also, right? Some of you are in a position where you feel that if you go down a particular path with your love, especially if you're going down a path of making more and more commitment, this commitment is going to make you choose between something else. It could be your career, it could be your lifestyle, it could be your artistic expression, whatever the case may be. This commitment, and certainly this is a love reading, right? So we're talking about relationships. This sense of making a commitment in your relationships here is really daunting right now. You want it strongly, but it's like, wow, you know, if I commit to this, I'll have to give something else up. But this is the thing with Two of Swords. It's really not about making a choice. It's about making, finding a balance, right? And so the good news is that if you are trying to make a commitment in a love relationship, perhaps you want to go down the road of living together, getting married, whatever the next step of commitment is for you, you don't necessarily have to give up your other life or give up the other things that are important to you. If you can find a good balance, then this is really the message of Two of Swords. Now, in your conscious, you have Major Arcana 8, which is associated with Leo energy and is the card for strength, right? And here we find, oftentimes we find with the card, with the strength card, it's really understanding where your limits are. And that's why 8 is the number for boundaries, borders, putting borders in place, putting boundaries in place, recognizing your own limitations, or otherwise knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, right? Strength is understanding when to give in, when to understand that too much is too much, when to understand that your limits are being stretched, right? This is all part of a strength. Having the strength and putting your pride aside, right? This is why oftentimes the lion is associated with pride, because of course the proud lion. But when we talk about Leo and strength and the lesson of the strength card, it's the lesson of putting our pride aside and admitting when too much is too much, when our plate is full, when we are beginning to play to weaknesses rather than playing to strengths. And in your mind this month, I think regarding this relationship situation, there is an issue, right? There is an issue somewhere, because you are feeling to a certain degree like you're being very pressured, right? Like you're taking on a lot, and it's really testing the limits of your strength. And again, with the strength card, we understand the need for putting boundaries in place, letting people know, listen, you're putting too much on my plate. Right? You're putting too much on my plate, and I don't mind telling you that it's too much, right? I'm not so proudful or so full of pride that I can't tell you, but I need to just let you know it's too much. There's a lot of pressure involved this month, Aries. I want to say for some of you, there seems to be a lot of pressure involved. There seems to be almost this feeling like you're being forced into a decision in a way. It could be from your loved one, but it could also be from your background. The weekly readings most recently had a lot of the romance angel messages were associated with religious factors a lot of the time. It could very well be, Aries, that for a lot of you, this sense of commitment is a sense of duty, right? And that you feel like this is what you're supposed to do. In the back of your mind, you have a King of Swords. And so there seems to be kind of like a feeling of wanting to get to the truth of a certain situation. It could very well be that you're involved, and I'm going to say, Aries, some of you may be involved in a situation, in a relationship with somebody who's really putting a lot on your plate, right? They're putting a lot on your plate. They're pressuring you maybe for this commitment. Your family may be pressuring you for this commitment. In your mind, you're saying, shit, I don't want to make this commitment. I don't want to have to give up this life. You have this Two of Swords energy where you're feeling like, oh God, which way do I go? And so, but in the front of your mind, you're feeling like this is absolutely too much. But in the back of your mind, I almost wonder, Aries, as if you're wondering, perhaps, is there another agenda going on, right? I want to say that in November, for some of you, you're going to begin to feel that there is a different agenda at play, right, than what's really happening. At first, you may be in a situation, you may be saying to yourself, yes, it's a lot of pressure. But that's what pressure is all about. That's what, when you get involved and you make commitments, perhaps you're being forced to get married or whatever, or pressured into getting married by your family, yada, yada. That's kind of normal pressure. But somewhere in the back of your mind, Aries, you begin to wonder if something else is at play. Why is the pressure ramped up? Why am I being forced to feel as though I have to make a choice? I think you're going to begin to doubt and have suspicions about this connection or about wherever this pressure is to make a commitment. Normally a commitment, right? The Hierophant does come in. A lot of times we make that commitment willingly, but to have that energy of Two of Swords, right? The Two of Swords is a pressure energy. It's a feeling of pressure. Even though the lesson of Two of Swords is that it's all about balance and not choice, it doesn't change the impact that Two of Swords energy has on us, which is a feeling of pressure, a feeling of being forced to make a decision. Of course, once we go through this process, we learn that it's not about making a decision and perhaps more about finding a balance, but that doesn't stop the initial anxiety that it brings. And so for me, I really feel for you, Aries, that this Hierophant, this commitment that's associated with social or perhaps religious factors, is something that is being put on you almost in a way, right? It's something that's being you're feeling it as a pressure. And this is why I say I feel very much like in November, this King of Swords is in the back of your mind, because the King of Swords is all about getting through a particular situation and really getting to the heart of it. When there's a lot of strife or a lot of sort of pressure that's being laid upon you, we can often assume what it's about. But the King of Swords is the type of energy that will say, hang on a second, I think there's more going on here. What's this pressure really about? What is their ulterior motive? Now, I don't mean this in a paranoid way, but I mean it more in a sort of waking up way, because you may have even begun to put up with this energy for quite some time, because you may have dismissed it as normal sort of anxiety when you're ramping up commitment, but you begin to wonder, right? And it isn't really normal anxiety. It's more a case of you feeling that something is really wrong behind the scenes. You're coming into this month, interestingly, with a Two of Wands. So you start off the month very much enthusiastic about this connection. You start the month really ready to make this commitment. It's really interesting, Aries, how this turns out, the feeling that I have here. It's almost this feeling of like, you done effed up now. You know what I mean? It was like you had me. You almost had me. You know what I mean? I was ready to put this foot in. I was ready to make this commitment. I was ready to go forward. Two of Wands is Mars in Aries energy. This is you showing up with Mars energy. So this is what I mean, that you come into the month raring to go, raring to take it to the next step. But look, we have a Tower moment. And this is what I'm talking about. The Tower moment comes in, and the Seven of Cups is at the bottom. Remember I said Seven of Cups is delusional thinking, thinking things are a fairy tale when they really aren't. It's almost as if, and like I say with this King of Swords coming in, seeking the truth. You get an inkling that something else is going on here. Right? This isn't just normal pressure. Is it about my money? Is it about my career? Does this person just want to get married because they want to be married? Do my family just want to get me married because they want to say their son or their daughter is married? That you just begin to feel like there's more at play here. And you certainly begin to feel the Seven of Cups that, like I said, everything that you thought was perhaps pie in the sky, you wrote off some of the anxieties as normal. You wake up this month to a Tower moment. You realize, oh shit, actually it's worse than I thought. It's more than I thought. And yes, there is an ulterior motive. This is a heavy month. Some of you, this reading is very much for an Aries out there, male, female, it's not gender specific, who was perhaps about to move in with somebody, about to get married to somebody, about to get engaged, and you woke up and you realized that this relationship is not what you want it to be, or is not what you thought it was. You absolutely have a Tower moment. Absolutely have a Tower moment. And this is very much because of outside influences. This is not you, because you were gung-ho. Hierophant, you were gung-ho. Two of Wands, gung-ho. But then that inkling, King of Swords is oftentimes not wrong. And interestingly enough, the way you approach this situation, check it out, Aries. You come in with a Six of Swords. Very interesting reading, Aries. Six of Swords is all about harmony. You come in this month and you wake up. Not only do you have a tower moment, you know, because you were willing to do all of this, but you wake up, it's almost as if it's that feeling of thinking that you were about to step off a cliff and you caught yourself. You're so fucking relieved to have woken up to what was going on that you don't even give a shit that it was a tower moment, and you turn your back and you leave. Take a boat and leave. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, this is such a, I can feel it. You know, this is such a heavy reading. And of course it's heavy. If you were about to get married to somebody, you wake up to the fact that they're a fucking gold digger. Or that, you know, your family is forcing you or pressurizing you, or they're pressurizing. And it was never really about the love, and all the pressure that you felt that you thought was abnormal really is abnormal because they're trying to push you. Yet, you're so relieved to wake up to realize that you're not going to marry this nightmare that you leave. And look, this is how they face it. Five of Wands. You leave and everybody else is fighting. You will leave. I'm going to say some of you may stand somebody up at the altar this month. You may not go to the wedding, child. I'm going to be honest with you. You may not go to the wedding, and you certainly walk away, but you walk away with a feeling of contentment, of a feeling of like, ooh, thank God. Thank God I woke up before I married into this absolutely, or before I became even more committed. This isn't just about marriage or engagement. You may have been about to move. You may have been about to travel and live with somebody in another country. You wake up to this realization. Whatever the case may be, the feeling of like, thank God. And what's your hopes and dreams? I'm going to tell you right here. Look, your hopes and dreams for this month. And like I said, you leave them fighting. It's like you turn your back and everybody else is left fighting. Well, I thought he was going to do it. I thought she was going to do it. I can't believe she left. I can't believe she turned her back on this connection. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. But you don't care. You move on. Six is moving on, turning your back on strife, trials, tribulations, lying, negative behavior. Five of Swords, turning your back on Five of Swords, the Six of Swords, moving away. Some of you may actually leave or move cities, and you leave behind you Five of Wands, a lot of power struggle, a lot of fighting. Some people may try to get under your skin, but you don't give a shit. You're moving. And Ten of Cups is what your ultimate desire and your hopes and dreams are. You dream to have a really good connection, right? And you thank God that you leave this connection so that you can be open and ready for the next one. This is a power-up moment because what comes out of this month is Magician, Aries. This is a heavy power-up moment. This is a heavy power-up month in love for you, Aries. This is a month where you leave an absolutely toxic relationship behind, or the chance that you could be caught up in a toxic relationship behind, and you make way for the impossible. Ten of Cups and a Magician for November love. What can I say? It doesn't come without trials and tribulations, Aries. It doesn't come, I'm not going to say it's going to be totally easy peasy, right? I mean, this isn't easy. This isn't easy shit, right? You have a tower moment, but my point is that even though it isn't easy, the relief of the wake-up call that you get is very, very powerful. Very powerful indeed. I'm just going to pull a couple more cards just to see we can get some clarity on this pretty heavy reading for you, Aries. It took me a while to get into your energy this month, and when I got ready to do the filming, I knew that this is going to be a pretty serious reading. This may actually only resonate with only a few of you out there because it is a very specific reading, but some aspects may resonate with your situation. It may not be 100%, but there may be certain aspects, right? Let's just see what my lovely Thoth deck tells me. Of course, this is the Aleister Crowley deck. There's your tower moment. Boom. The Aeon. Seven of Pentacles and Eight of Wands. Wow. All right, bottom of the deck, we have the Sun. All right, clarity comes in. The sun is, of course, clarity, my lovely Aries. Clarity, right? Confidence. And this is what I mean. The Tower moment comes in, but the confidence is there. The strength, the realization that too much is where the breaking point comes in. This will be the beginning of your Tower moment when you begin to realize that the pressure that's being laid on is just exorbitant. It really is just too much. And this is when you begin to start to doubt their intentions, or your lover or your partner, whoever this person is that you're involved with, their intention, or if it's pressure, wherever the pressure is coming from, whether it's your lover, their family, your family, it's that area that begins, because this is the Tower coming in again. You know, the off that Tower moment. So this is where the breakdown begins. This is where the wall begins to crumble. You start to realize, hey, something else is going on. Aeon is, of course, Judgment in the Aleister Crowley deck. You begin to see more. Right? Like I said, with the King of Swords comes in and lets you know there's something else going on. You need to get to the truth of it. Of course, King of Swords is very tough, very diligent. He's unforgiving. And in order to get to the truth, you have to be really strong. However, the Aeon in the Aleister Crowley deck is the other card for Judgment. And this is what I was saying earlier. Judgment comes in because you begin to see the whole scenario, right? Judgment is also about letting go of misplaced guilt. So some of the pressure you've been under has probably been associated with some guilt. You know, guilt tripping. We used to call that guilt tripping back in the day. When people guilt trip you, make you feel like you're guilty over something that you have no business being guilty over. So you begin to see more, and you let go of all the guilt. For some of you, you may have been going along this situation because of guilty feelings that were misplaced. You wake up to all of that because you begin to see the situation from multiple sides. You begin to understand why people are pressuring you, because that also comes in with Judgment. 7 of Pentacles, 2 of Wands. There you go. You come in raring to go, but 7 of Pentacles talks about feeling a sense of failure. Could be that some of the energy that you've been working with has been a manipulation by family or friends, kind of trying to play on your sense of failure or your sense of accomplishment. Probably, maybe even saying things like, look, you're at that stage, you should be married. You're at that stage, you should be together. Whatever the case may be, there could be a lot of pressure for that coming in. And that's one of the reasons you're ready to go, but yet 7 of Pentacles also indicates reevaluating the fruits of your labor. And just as they kind of make you feel bad, or maybe that may have been a factor, right? As you begin to wake up, you start to also reevaluate. Hang on a second. Is this really what I want anyway? 8 of Wands comes in, and this is a Tower moment with the 8 of Wands. And 8 of Wands talks about a lot of messages, a lot of mixed messages, a lot of mixed energies coming in. And waking up to that. It could be with this Tower moment, as you begin to realize, you begin to see where everybody's coming from, you begin to see their true sort of colors and their true motivations. You really focus with this 8 of Wands. You begin to focus and sift through all the bullshit energy and communication you've been getting in, and you begin to start to understand and focus and really see through it all. Where it was a bunch of sort of chaotic, confused energy coming in, you begin to now see the plan in it. I think you now also begin to see the motivations in it. Whereas before it was so much pressure that it was kind of a cloud, it was kind of vague. But 8 of Wands comes in with this Tower moment because you really very much wake up and you really very much realize exactly what's been going on, and you begin to be able to distinguish the bullshit from the truth. Another wake-up moment. This is an incredible reading, Aries. I'm going to leave it at that. This is your November love reading. I hope it resonated with you. If it did, please go ahead, like, subscribe, and share. Wow, what can I tell you? This was a very specific reading for some of you, and of course, it may not resonate with everyone. Do check the placement of your other planets. But for right now, Aries, have a wonderful month. I'll see you mid-November for the mid-month love readings. I will also be doing new moon and full moon readings for November and December, and also will be doing an annular solar eclipse reading for December. But for right now, guys, have a wonderful November, and I'll see you in the middle of the month. Bye-bye, Aries.